Hey guys, it's Vanessa from Unmasked. Sorry about my voice in this video. I'm just getting over being sick for the past week, and at least I have a voice now. So it'll be back to normal soon. Please just bear with me for hopefully just this one video. Before we get started, please like, subscribe, and share this video everywhere. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of my upcoming videos. So I have a crazy case to bring you today. I have not been able to get this case off of my mind since I heard about it. It would be about a week ago. So one of the reasons it initially grabbed my attention was that it happened about 30 minutes away from where I grew up. I've been pretty much completely submerged in gathering information on this case since it happened. And as I've been gathering more information and getting more of the details, it's beginning to sound like something straight out of a horror movie. So I'm going to walk you through the entire timeline and all of the information that we have available so far. Like we do here at Unmasked, I'm going to be giving you the actual straight facts. I will make it very clear when something is just my opinion or I'm speculating, which I will be doing both in this video as well. So here's my first opinion. There is much more to come with this case. But in the meantime, here's everything available so far. Excelsior Springs, Missouri is just outside of the Kansas City metro area. It has a population of about 10,000 people. It's your typical Missouri, very friendly, close-knit Midwestern town. If you're not familiar with that part of the country or that area, people in Missouri are just very down to earth. I'm not just saying this because I'm from there, but they're very down to earth and just very friendly, no BS type of people. I miss it a lot. So Friday, October 7th of 2022 started out like any other weekday morning on Don Shelton Boulevard. Then around 7:47 a.m., a 22-year-old woman came bursting out the front door of 301 Old Orchard Street. The woman was frantically banging on doors, asking for help. She was hunched over and clearly had been through some type of significant trauma. Witnesses have said that her voice was very weak as she begged a resident named Lisa to let her in. The terrified young woman told Lisa that she had been kidnapped and assaulted and that she only had a short amount of time before he would return and try to come find her. I do want to say really quick, it sounds like Lisa was understandably in shock and trying to process what she was seeing. This is definitely not something you see every day or ever expect to see in your life. She immediately told the woman that she was going to call 911 and get help for her, and apparently this upset the woman who responded, "He'll kill us both." Lisa has also explained that she wanted to put her dog somewhere so that it wouldn't attack the woman. It's been said that she's getting some negativity. Lisa should be getting hugs and thank yous, not hate, in my opinion. None of us know how we would react when faced with something like this, and she is the one who called the police and got this woman help as soon as possible. So it was initially reported that her captor had left to go drop his elementary-age son at the school that's less than half a mile away. However, I've also heard recently that that's not what he was doing that morning. I checked, and that school doesn't start until after 9 a.m., so not really sure at this point what his agenda was that morning, and I'm not really sure how much that matters at this specific point in time. Regardless, the minute he left the house, the woman took this as her only chance and made the very brave decision to try and free herself to get help. She had no idea when he would be returning, so this must have been absolutely terrifying for her on so many levels. As Lisa called the police, the woman stumbled to the house next door and knocked on the door. So 38-year-old Sierra had just started a new job, and her grandmother was at her house babysitting her young child. Sierra's grandmother opened the door and of course said she was initially in shock, but as the woman begged her to come inside, she said that something in her heart just told her to let her in, so she did. The identity of the victim has not been released, and she's referred to in court documents as TJ, so that's how I'm going to refer to her in the remainder of this video. As the grandmother ushered the girl inside, she hurried to get a blanket and food. She wrapped the blanket around the woman and handed her some muffins from the kitchen. So as she's looking at this starving young woman, to her horror, she's noticing that she has this crudely made metal dog training collar with a padlock around her neck that was restricting her breathing. She had duct tape that was hanging under her chin as if she just kind of reached up and ripped it down off of her mouth. She had visible ligature marks on her wrists and ankles, and she had other various marks on her body. It sounds like Excelsior Springs PD handled everything beautifully that morning. They responded immediately and they came with no lights or sirens so that they wouldn't unintentionally tip Hazlitt off if he was nearby. While they waited for police to arrive, the woman recounted some of her terrifying story. She told them that she had been held hostage in his white corner home since the beginning of September. She also referred to her captor by name. TJ said that Timothy had picked her up in downtown Kansas City on Prospect Avenue. He had taken her back to his house where he locked her in a small room that he had built in his basement. During her captivity, she had been repeatedly beaten and assaulted. While she recounted her shocking ordeal, she reportedly kept saying, "He killed my friends didn't make it." As the victim was taken to the hospital, she identified the house at 301 Old Orchard Street as the house where she had been held. When Halsett pulled up in his gray truck at 8:41 a.m., police arrested him for an animal control charge. As the victim, TJ, was escaping, she let his dog out the front door. Another neighbor happened to call and report the dog roaming around because it had been aggressive towards his family in the past. Investigators from multiple agencies descended on the house and brought in cadaver dogs. They blocked off the streets and worked through the night for the next 3 days. News crews overhead caught footage of investigators taking huge bags of evidence. According to the neighbor that has the view to the back, so again, this is just according to a neighbor, so take that for what it's worth, multiple blue barrels were taken out of Halsett's basement. I believe it was said a dozen. I hate saying that because it sounds like that was a guesstimate. I don't know if she actually counted, but that is what was said, and I've seen it on multiple interviews that a dozen blue barrels were taken out of his basement. You can see in the overhead coverage that there are still some blue barrels remaining in his yard. Of course, these barrels were taken from his basement, which is the same place where this victim was held. We do know from court documents that police also seized ropes, chains, restraints, whips, handguns, and some other weapons. They also asked the court to seize a 10 by 10 by 16-inch safe. Neighbors say that Halsett Jr. had lived in the same home for about 3 years. He's originally from Pacoda, Illinois, but has lived in the Kansas City metro area for around 12 years. From the interviews that have been released publicly so far that I've seen, and I think I've seen probably everyone that's available, he is described as weird, reclusive, and not extremely welcoming or friendly. He was divorced in 2015 and had primary custody of his young son. In the instances that he was seen, he was usually flying his drone outside around the neighborhood, watching his son jump on the trampoline, or working on his car. One of the neighbors did have kind of an interesting tidbit that when he opened his garage, he would only open it high enough to just crawl in and out. So it sounds like he was also hiding stuff in his garage, or at least didn't want people looking in there freely. The neighbor also claimed that a local tow truck company has been recently towing random cars away from that residence. I have no idea to the validity of that statement or if that has any connection whatsoever with what went down this past week. He worked on the railroad until 2020 when he was let go. I have seen people on social media that know him that say that he refused to comply with the mandates that were required with, everything that was going on in 2020, and that is why he was let go. I can't verify that as 100% fact. I will say, however, that it does appear to fit with the timeline and everything that we've found so far. Between 2020 and 2022, he appears to have some kind of significant change going on because a lot of people have commented on how much his looks have changed. I mean, you can see it with your own eyes comparing pictures over the past couple of years. He also seemed to isolate and then begin work on his, room for captives in his basement. Looking at his Facebook, it's easy to see that he's into the apocalypse and talks about post-apocalyptic scenarios. He has a book posted on his timeline called The Night of Shattered Dreams that's about a post-apocalyptic society after a zombie virus breaks out. What's creepy about this book, just with everything else that's happened, is part of the storyline is young women being sold into marriage against their will. With everything else, it just makes you kind of wonder if he took his fantasy world and turned it into something in his real life that he could play out. Investigators have boarded up the windows and put up a makeshift chain link fence around Halstead's house during the investigation. They still maintain that there is no evidence that there are any other victims. However, they are asking for people to come forward if they know Timothy Halstead or anything about the crime. They also had the judge seal the details of what they found during their searches for the next 30 days. They have not released the cadaver dog report and are conducting interviews and running DNA on the items that were found in Halstead's home. Again, like I say, almost every video, I look at everything in totality and I pay attention to what investigators do say and what they don't say. I personally feel that both are equally important. Just saying. Hazlitt was arraigned earlier this week and pled not guilty to the kidnapping and couple assault charges. No photos or recording was allowed during this arraignment. He does not have an attorney on record yet and will be assigned a public defender. So what do you guys think? Do you think that this is going to end up being some huge case and end up being a serial killer? Or do you think this is just going to be his first victim and nobody else? And what do you think about her comments as far as saying that her friends were killed and didn't make it out? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. We here at Unmasked want to send our love to the victim who escaped. I hope she knows that her bravery may have saved many other women from a similar fate. It sounds like, physically she's going to recover, but I can't imagine what her mental trauma must be like. So we send you our love and support, and for the residents of Excelsior Springs and specifically in the neighborhood, everyone who helped this young woman, thank you. Again, doesn't surprise me. That's just people in Missouri. They're wonderful people. Of course, as we get more information, we'll bring you all of the latest updates in this shocking case out of Excelsior Springs. Thank you for listening, guys. I hope you all stay safe and have a great rest of the week.